Hi, this is Barbara from Midsummer Farm in Warwick, New York. I wanted to talk a little bit with you about marjoram today. I'm going to actually be transplanting some of my marjoram plants that I started this past winter in the house into some larger size containers. Marjoram is a tender perennial. It is not going to make it through the winter around here in New York State. So I do put them into big pots. They actually like pot culture a lot. They do just fine, and you can bring them inside the house in the winter time. Either keep them dormant or just keep picking and enjoying them because it's a fabulous herb and doesn't seem to mind being inside the house either. In the wintertime, you just want to make sure that you spritz them with water, keep them moist, because the house is very dry air in the wintertime, a little bit different from the summertime air that they experience outside here. These are some of the marjoram plants I started from seed this past winter. I start any herb that I'm going to want to grow from seed. I start in late December, early January, sometime around there. And I start them in seed flats like this. A little bit of potting soil in there, or seed starting soil. Lay a piece of Glad wrap over it, put them on these lights. About 65, 70 degrees is perfect, so your house temperature is fine. I use just a regular fluorescent light bulb, no fancy grow lights, that I put right close to the tray, which sort of provides extra warmth and gives them plenty of light. And once they are big enough to be transplanted, which is basically when you can pop them out of here with enough roots that they don't get all scraggly and the dirt falls away, but they hold their own, I pop them into pots like this. So these are ready to now be transplanted into a larger pot. Marjoram is just see how nice it pops right out. The roots are there, not root bound at all. We don't need to go in there and squish up these roots and cause it some kind of transplanting stress. It's not necessary. We can just very carefully, if it was really horribly root bound, like say we had them in these pots for a couple of years, we would then squish up the roots and sort of spread them out. And the plant would have to deal with a little bit of transplanting stress, but I think it'll be relieved to get out of the root bound situation. But this one is actually just perfect. We're going to place it into our pot, press our dirt around. Really simple, really gentle. The plant is hardly going to even know it got transplanted, except all of a sudden it's going to realize as it's growing that its roots have extra space to go, and it's just going to flourish. The one thing that I do now too is I give it a little trim. Anything that is really tall, I trim off, and you could just use these. I'm going to save them for maybe making a lovely potato leek soup with marjoram. It is excellent. I love potato leek soup as a way of really experiencing the herb flavor. And marjoram is an unusual herb flavor. It is not able to be replaced with oregano, despite how many recipes I see that say, oh, just marjoram or oregano. You could use oregano too. You really can't. Oregano and marjoram are very, very different flavored herbs. Marjoram has a musky, florally kind of a scent. Very, very different. Oregano is, it's a lovely herb too. But marjoram's special, and oregano is hardy in this area, and marjoram is not, so you have to put a little bit more effort into marjoram. But there's a lot of contention as to what is a true marjoram. There's a lot of contention as to what is a true oregano. At this point, with shopping for oregano plants, I really recommend that you taste the herb before you buy it. There's so many hybrids and varieties that really, I wouldn't even pay attention to the label of the oregano plant. We have a bunch of super hot, spicy kind of oreganos. I mean, personally, I prefer a true non-hybridized Greek or Italian oregano where you get that full, palette of flavors. But again, the marjoram's different and hard to describe. You got to get yourself some marjoram seeds and start planting them, or a marjoram plant, and really experience marjoram at this point. Another plant, just pop it out. Perfect roots, really looking good. And just press it in gently. You don't have to grow marjoram from seed. Herbs are a little tricky to grow from seed. You could, as is demonstrated in this marjoram plant, as the branches start to come down, you could actually press them into the soil. You know, just pressing the branch in like that. And by doing that, it will start to form roots at the base of this plant. So you could actually get yourself a new plant, a new marjoram plant from these roots in about 3 to 4 months. There should be roots underneath there. You can cut the branch off the mother plant and have another whole plant. That's really the most stable way, especially if you have a lot of oreganos and a lot of marjorams growing on your property. That's really the most stable way to actually propagate new plants, because the seeds can hybridize and your new baby plants could have some really funky flavors, because marjorams and oreganos will cross-pollinate. Alright, so that's really all there is to it. Give them a nice trim. Actually, each time you trim your marjorams, it's going to give them a little boost of hormones, a little boost of growth hormones that from the stem, anywhere down the stem, from the cut piece down, it's going to start sprouting more branches. So by giving them the trim, it lets them focus on their roots as you're transplanting them, which is what you want them to really focus on. And it lets them really start to branch out from the sides so they get nice and bushy. That applies to all herbs, really. You just want to keep them well trimmed, use them. They want to be used. And keep cutting, and the bushier and the more, you know, they're just going to be absolutely gorgeous, because that's what they really need. So there are marjoram plants. We've got our trimmings from our transplanting, which I'm going to bring inside. It dries well. Just lay them out on a piece of cheesecloth, because they are kind of small, because they're just the babies that we trimmed. Or I think I'm going to put this right into a nice potato leek soup. I'm just going to put tons of it in there to get a real burst of marjoram flavor. I'll have the recipe below for you to also use, and it actually works with all kinds of herbs. It'd be lovely to use any herb you just want to get more familiar with, like rosemary would be excellent in it. And then the last step I am going to do is usually when you're transplanted something right away, you don't add fertilizer for a couple of days. You let it sort of get itself settled. But because these popped out of the pot so easily, they hardly even know they got transplanted yet. I'm going to give them a little bit of a fish emulsion liquid fertilizer. It's just a concentrate that I added to the flower pot with some water. Very light. I probably did half of what it called for on the packaging. This is actually, it's an OMRI listed product, so it is actually good for organic certified growers. If you're looking for a good soil amendment that you can actually trust, that it is actually organic, I always go with something that is OMRI listed. It's OMRI listing, has a little square logo on the packaging. And that is it for marjoram. So enjoy growing a kind of outdated, old-fashioned, but very traditional and classic herb. It's the perfect herb for making all those fabulous French dishes that call for, you know, things like old soup chickens and roosters and, you know, all that kind of old game kind of thing. It's a great meat herb, but the vegetarian potato leek soup with it is excellent too. So enjoy your marjoram.